It's a beautiful Thursday morning. Good morning and welcome to Rise and Shine Daily. It's another day here on set to talk about a lot of things making the rounds and a lot of news making the rounds this morning in Nigeria. My name is Janice Cobham and I'm super delighted to be here again today. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Africa. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Akwa Ibom State. It's a good day to rise and shine, a great day to be alive. My name is Uyai Anekan, and I am thankful to be here once again this morning. Of course, I would like to remind you to be a part of the growing community and the conversation. So follow us across all social media, all of which you can find at spectrumtv.ng. Subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you can be abreast with everything that we're doing here on Spectrum Television. We also have our phone lines displayed on the screen in the course of the program. Please feel free to call us, send us WhatsApp or text messages, and would like to take your contributions. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning, Janice.
I think I would like to start with how you doing this morning.
Well, hanging in bed, literally.
No, when you say you're hanging in there, it's like the balance is not properly balanced.
Yeah,
and you're just there.
Exactly. That's how it is. I'm just hanging in there.
Anyways, I hope we're not just hanging in there like Huya is doing. But then again, obviously, I'm sure she's hanging in there for a good reason. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
definitely. Okay, so welcome once again to Rise and Shine Daily. Of course, we'll always bring you up to speed with some of the latest conversations making the rounds in the country. And as part of our flash news this morning, just to remind you that from tomorrow, which is the 7th of April, the federal government has said that there's going to be public holiday, so it extends till Monday, and work resumes in earnest on Tuesday. And this is just to allow Christians celebrate the Easter festivity. And of course, talking about Easter, Uyai, a lot of people do not even understand the significance of celebrating Easter. For them, for some people, it's just another moment to eat rice and, have drinks and maybe visit friends and all of that. Some people have not really understood what the Easter season stands for. Obviously, we are still in the Holy Week now. This is Holy Thursday. Tomorrow, which is Friday, is going to be Good Friday. Saturday is going to be Good Saturday. And of course, Sunday, Easter Sunday, where we celebrate the risen Christ.
Yeah, there's a lot of things, and for those who do not necessarily have a very good knowledge of what the Easter is about, I think the Catholic community and the presbytery, that's Presbyterian, Methodist, the Anglican, there are people who still, these denominations still hold on to the very old tenets and practices of Easter. Pentecostals will still do, but sometimes you might get lost in all the English that comes with being in a Pentecostal church, but some of these Orthodox churches still maintain. So we are having all the Easter rites, being done. There's this one called Stage of the Cross, several things.
Station of the
Cross, So the whole Orthodox community has been observing that since we had Palm Sunday last week.
So all of those, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I think, for leaning back on those who do not have a good understanding of what this season is about, maybe you want to attend an Orthodox service one of these days, and they'll bring you close to the right, and then you just read up for yourself. It's a time to just get personal with God, get a better knowledge. It's basically, if you're a Christian, there is something called the death, burial, resurrection of Jesus Christ. You have to get to relate with those knowledge very, very well. It's not just like you said, time to now public holiday starts tomorrow, it's a Monday,
happy hour.
Let's just have the happy hour and go. But you need need to relate with the significance of the season.
Yeah, the significance.
Yeah.
The significance is more or less a period where it's laced with a lot of sobriety, sober reflections. Okay, just think within yourself and try to go back to your roots. When I'm talking about your roots in Christ Jesus. Okay, and think about all of the sacrifices he made, the significance of those sacrifices, and then adjust your relationship back again to God. I think this is what the Easter period stands for. Okay, so away from that, another flash news we're going to briefly look at this morning, of course, coming from the camp of Peter Obi, the Labour Party presidential candidate. There seems to be a lot of drama, that has ensued the past couple of months after the February 25 presidential elections. And here we are today. Peter Obi is saying, I'm being pressured to leave Nigeria. Let's even come from the back end of all of the conversations that have trailed Peter Obi in recent times. One of the most prominent and one that has caused a lot of controversy is the allegations of him being treasonable, an accusation by the federal government against him through the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed. And I know that he had responded to that, but again, here we are today. Leave the country because of all of the pressures that are coming, and the fact that he's also saying that there could be some kind of arrests if he doesn't leave the country.
Leaving the country, if we're looking at it from a security standpoint for his own sake, it is good, but then when we're coming from a standpoint of let him leave the country as a way of evading an arrest, then I think that's a little bit questionable. If you're saying that because of all of the unrest that is happening and all the tension in the polity, his followers and his leaders are thinking he should leave the country just for a bit, that will be a very welcome idea. But if you push forth the leg of, as a way of evading arrest by the federal government, if there is any attempt of that sort, that will now become a problem, because it will not stand in tandem to represent the man Peter Obi as, we have all come to know him as. So I think that will not be a good front to push. So far so good with regards to the treason allegations. It's just allegations. We haven't heard any move yet by the federal government to arrest him or anything like that. But if there are concerns at this time about how secure he is in the country and the need to move him out of the country, just so we are sure that there are no attempts on his life whatsoever, I think that will be a smart move to make at this time. But then in as much as he's out of the country, they should make sure as a party that whatever that they, whatever their race is, whatever they believe in, they keep at it. Not that the man Peter Obi is not on sit and then everything just dies out. If you have a cause, follow it through by the dictates of the law as necessary. But then when you're speaking of the man Peter Obi being pressured to leave the country, how about his vice presidential candidate, who more like was the person who really spoke up and shook up everywhere, with the things that he said? How about that Ibaba? Are they also considering that he should leave the country? And when you're saying leave the country, are you looking at them, their spouse and their children? It just begins to spiral down. But it's a whole lot of problem. When does it why we get into in a polity where the country is becoming unsafe for certain persons because of how the political conversations have begun to spiral since after the 25th of February election? Is this what we really wanted as a country? And if if he's saying he's being pressured, you can imagine where the pressure is coming from. It could be from all, angles, from, the Labour Party family who care for him, or even by, possible attempts that we have not yet heard of, and all of those things. So it's important at this point. I would just say whatever is best for the Labour Party family and Peter Obi to do, to make sure that we do not have any sad tales we do that. Because when it comes to the case of allegations by the federal government, that will be left for a court to decide. So you will still have court proceedings, you know, judges sitting over it. So it can't just be, oh, the federal government accused him of treason and then from today to tomorrow he's missing from his house, he's been arrested. I believe there's going to be due process for that. But whatever is best to keep the man safe, I think they should go ahead.
Okay, I know that he's also said, as part of him coming out to say he's been pressured to leave the country, he has also said that he has a mandate that was stolen and he needs to get it back, so he's not going anywhere. But this is just an information that has been made available, you know, to Nigerians. But yeah, let's quickly now take our major stories for the morning. The Ike Madu saga seems to still be heated up, and I remember also that he's been in jail for some couple of months now. Excuse me. But just yesterday, we saw that the former president of Nigeria, President Olusegun Obasanjo, has written to the United Kingdom court that found former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu and his wife Beatrice guilty of organ trafficking. Now, in the letter addressed to the Chief Clerk, the Central Criminal Court, Old Bailey, in London, the former president asked the clerk to intervene and ensure the UK government tempered justice with mercy on the matter. Now, reports say that Ike Ekweremadu is at risk of being sentenced to 10 years imprisonment in line with the Modern Slavery Act 2015 of the United Kingdom after a London court found him and his wife guilty of organ trafficking. Now, I think I will just go through the letter. It says, "My dear Chief Clerk, may I seize this opportunity to commend your utmost dedication and resourcefulness, which you have demonstrated with rare qualities of commitment and courage, while also upholding the cherished traditions of the public service. I am Olusegun Obasanjo, a soldier commissioned into the British Army of the West African Frontier Force in 1958 and rose to the rank of a full general in the Nigerian Army. I received the surrender of the Biafran Army at the end of the Nigerian Civil War. I was military head of state from 1976 to 1979 and elected president from 1999 to 2007. It is with great pleasure that I write in respect of Senator Ike Ekweremadu, who I have known for over 2 decades. Within this period, I have followed and watched with keen interest Ike Ekweremadu's inspiring career, which traversed private legal practice and public administration. I recall with fond memories the beginnings of our political and social relationship at the onset of our collective quest for democratic rebirth for our fatherland. During my administration as a democratically elected president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria between 1999 and 2007, Ike Ekweremadu and I had close relationship and interactions as staunch members of our political party, People's Democratic Party (PDP), and more so as he got elected into the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 2003, of which he has since remained a member till date. Within this period of his service in the Nigerian Parliament, he has served as Deputy Senate President of the Senate and has headed so many committees in various capacities and brought to bear his broad-based experience in legal practice and public administration. Sometime in 2009, he was appointed as the first Deputy Speaker of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and made to lead ad hoc committee to work for the return of constitutional order in Niger Republic. I clearly remember that in the heady days of the keen contest for the presidential ticket of a party in early 1999, he joined other well-meaning Nigerians from the southeastern part of Nigeria to set aside extraneous considerations and ensured that Southeast unanimously adopted me for the presidency. This was without regard to the fact that my closest competitor hailed from their part of the country. I truly cherish his God-fearing compassionate, moderate, and pan-Nigerian approach to national issues and development in our multi-ethnic, multi-religious geopolity. He dedicates himself to the service of God and humanity, and he continues to play visible roles in national development. Though the Ikeoha Foundation, through the Ikeoha Foundation, a non-governmental organization founded by him and his wife in 1997, he and his wife have rendered a lot of charitable activities, enhancing poor people's access to quality education and healthcare, and building their capacity to participate in mainstream social, political, and economic activities of their communities. Ikekwe Madu's conferment with the converted national honor of Commander of the Federal Republic, CFR, is for the testimonies of a selfless service to a country, Nigeria. Mr. Chief Clerk, I am very much aware of the current travails and conviction of Ikekwe Madu and his wife in the United Kingdom, resulting from their being charged with conspiring to arrange the travel of a 21-year-old from Nigeria to the UK in order to harvest organs for their daughters. I do realize the implication of their action, and I dare say it is unpleasant and condemnable and can't be tolerated in any sane or civil society. However, it is my fervent desire for very warm relations between the United Kingdom and the Federal Republic of Nigeria, for his position as one of the distinguished senators in the Nigerian Parliament, and also for the sake of their daughter in question, whose current health condition is in danger and requires urgent medical attention, you will use your good office to intervene and appeal to the courts and the government of the United Kingdom to be magnanimous enough to temper justice with mercy and let punishment that may have come take their good character and parental instincts and care into consideration. I do hope Mr. and Mrs. Ekweremadu have learnt from the distressing experience of theirs to guide their future action or inaction, so they will continue to be outstanding members of their community and will continue to contribute fully to the good of the society in particular and the nation in general. Please accept the assurances of my highest consideration. Quite a long read it was, a long letter it was. But I like the fact that an elder statesman like Chief Olusegun Obasanjo has been able to extol all of the beautiful qualities of Senator Ikekwe Madu, you know, and at the end of the day, he also condemned the action and inaction of the Ikekwe Madus as to harvest organ harvesting. But then again, I like the fact that he has come out, you know, to plead on behalf of Senator Ikekwe Madu, something that a lot of elder statesmen in the country, you know, are looking, shying away from that responsibility. I remember initially when the whole drama started, some couple of senators went to the United Kingdom, but what exactly did they do? What were the results gotten from their visits and all of that? We are also hoping that, you know, with the intervention of an elder statesman like Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, we will be able to get some, you know, some recourse from the United Kingdom as to this matter.
It's imperative and good to see that he's asking for leniency with regards to the judgment that is meted out to them. If you know found guilty by the courts, they are looking at up to 10 years in jail, you know, for this particular act. When you're but of course they are being judged against the Modern Day Slavery Act, and that takes 10 years for judgment if found guilty. Now the former president Olusegun Obasanjo, who himself is an elder statesman and an internationally recognized leader in Africa, is using his position to ask, you know, for leniency, condemning, you know, what they had done. But then he said, let's look at the fact that these people are desperate parents and might have, you know, sought out ways to help their daughter to stay alive, and this is why they were pressured into that particular action. This is commendable. You know, some people may feel like, okay, why did Olusegun Obasanjo have to go this far? Some other people have asked, since this case started, what has the president said? But then in defense of the president, sometimes it looks like, okay, the president will not give voice to this so that it doesn't look like they are trying to abate a crime. The president has literally not said anything, so it's more like let them not say anything so that we don't see like Nigeria, the leadership is trying to abate a crime, then support and all of that. And then there are also stories that now that it's not happening in Nigeria, we have not been able to take advantage of doing, it's a political bigotry issue, it's an ethnic pursuit of. All of that is not happening because the case is not in Nigeria. But how far?
Let's even look at it. Supposing the case was in Nigeria, maybe it would have been swept under the carpet. Maybe it wouldn't have even come out to the fore at all. We wouldn't have known that, okay, there was something like a harvest of vesting, or there's something like a modern day slavery act where people get punished for these kinds of activities,
Well, those are possibilities that Nigerians do believe in, but for the likes of people who still have a trust in the judicial system, hopefully if it came up, they might have been questioned.
Maybe a lot of human rights, groups would have taken it up.
Might have taken it up. But what is the guarantee that if this happened on ground, that the 21-year-old would have screamed for help? For this particular story, I feel like there are different parts to this. The 21-year-old needs to be probed because there is nothing so young about a 21-year-old in the Nigerian.
No, the question is, or rather the issue is, he wasn't told that he was going for a harvest, an organ harvesting. So maybe if he was told from the initial stage, he wouldn't have opted for it
to travel.
Yes.
But what we are now looking at is, to what extent is this letter by the former president going to help the case?
That's another thing.
To what extent is it going to help the case for them in court? Does this have any kind of impact whatsoever? Is the clerk of the court going to consider this and met out some leniency in the course of the judgment? This is the former president Olusegun Obasanjo can do. Are we in the next couple of days, are we going to begin to see more elder statesmen also attempt to extend the olive branch, and ask for leniency with regards to the case? That's something else we might have to keep our fingers crossed for. But yes, a lot of Nigerians are also reacting to this particular letter as sent by the president. Mixed feelings here and there, actually. Mixed emotion. Some people are for, some people are against, but at the end of the day, it is the UK court that is going to determine how effective, or to what extent this letter is going to have an impact in the proceeding of the case against the Aquarium matters. But it's such a pitiable, stance that they find themselves, especially because their daughter Sonia is still at the position where she has not received any medical help in terms of finding a donor for the transplant that she really needs. So if you are not careful, you're looking at the fact that in the midst of these, her parents have been tucked away in prison for a couple of months. Her health is still deteriorating because she might not have that support system around to care for her. So these are some of the things that the likes of the former president Olusegun Obasanjo is pushing to the court to consider the case, actually.
Anyways, former Nigerian's Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu and his wife and the doctor have been convicted of organ trafficking in the first verdict of its kind under the Modern Slavery Act. Now, the 60-year-old politician, 60, his wife Beatrice, 56, and Dr. Ubin Naubeta, 51, were found guilty of facilitating the travel of a young man to Britain with a view to exploitation after a 6-week trial at the Old Bailey, according to the UK Guardian. That's just the background to that particular story. But we'll leave it at that, and also look forward to seeing what the implication of the letter of former president of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, will be yielding some kinds of results. Let's go now to Delta State, Asaba in particular. I know that what's one of the things that led to the NSAS protests in Nigeria in 2020 was extrajudicial killings by the Nigerian police force. And since after that, I'm wondering if we have had any succor or we've had any minimal cases of extrajudicial killings in the country. If you ask a lot of Nigerians, they will tell you that that is far-fetched, because what they protested against in 2020 is still what is actually still happening in different parts of the country. And so in Asaba, we saw a protest of people coming out to protest the killing of a young man by a policeman who it was alleged that he was killed because of 100 naira notes. Yeah, quite a sad story, I must say.
It's a very sad story. Now, the allegation is that policemen on routine stop and search duty allegedly shot an unidentified young man in Asaba, Delta State. Now, the Delta State Police Public Relations Officer, DSP Bright Edafe, has confirmed the report. And of course, his response reads, confirmed, no details. However, angry youths took to the streets to protest the alleged killing by the police. There is tension in the town as youths, of course, took to the street to march along major streets in search of policemen to vent their anger. So at this point, we also hear that the police force in Delta State have also moved to probe the case. Why are we having, what response to 100 naira bill is taking the life of a person? At this time, just rough handling people for what kind of provocation will make you take another person's life on 400 naira? In this day and time, sometimes you go to a shop, someone will ask you, what can 100 naira really buy in these days? And yet you're taking a person's life. We do hope that as the probe continues, like you said earlier, it is not swept under the carpet. Because the problem with these kinds of stories is that once they break, once they happen, you hear the initials, but we do not hear, to what extent the police force has probed, who they found guilty, who they put behind bars, how they are trying to correct the system and all of that. And sometimes you also, hear them coming out to plead not guilty. If you lean back on the lady who was killed on the 25th of December, the accused police officer attempted to plead not guilty the other day. So these are some of the issues that we are seeing. Like you asked, since after the NSAS, have we seen any kind of rest with regards to extrajudicial killings, or it just wore another phase and it's still continuing in their state? This is a really sad situation.
Very really sad situation there in Delta State, Asaba, and we hope that just as the police has said, they will probe into the matter and bring those that have perpetrated these kinds of extrajudicial killings to book. And at this end, we will be handing you over to Mary Joseph, who's standing by for the news brief. And when we come back, of course, other programs, other conversations on Rise and Shine will definitely take place. We are going to be looking at our daily spotlight, where we get to share major stories on the front pages of our national dailies with you, and also we'll be looking at our focus conversations from the papers as well. To stay with us and don't move a muscle. We'll be right back soon.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Every society is premised on the quality of relationships forged by its inhabitants. The health of these relationships determines how well people, relationships, organizations thrive and how long they stick together. Join Uyai Anyekan on Connect every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. and on Sunday 2:30 to 3 p.m. on channel 421 on Star Times to catch all the conversations, interviews, real stories and how to navigate relationships and family life in the 21st century. Real people, real faces, real stories. Connect live on Spectrum Television.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court, my lord.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people. But there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on Star Times DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
As of state and government, Secretary General, delegates.
Voting for Spectrum TV to recover for the lapses in counting.
Good morning. Welcome to your morning news brief on Spectrum live from Uyo. I am Mary Joseph. We begin the news brief this morning with Nigeria's leader, President Muhammadu Buhari, who has approved about 320.3 billion naira as the 2023 intervention fund for public tertiary education institutions in the country. The Executive Secretary of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TETFund, Sonny Echono, disclosed this in Abuja during the fund's annual strategic planning workshop at the All Heads of Beneficiary Institutions. Echono said the meeting was an avenue to receive feedback and evaluation the performance of its intervention lines to enhance a more robust delivery of the agency's mandate. Meanwhile, the federal government has approved 2 contracts worth 15.3 billion naira for the supply and installation of information and communication technology components and digital assistance devices ahead of the population and housing census slated for May 3rd to 5th. The senior special assistant to the President of Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, revealed this to the State House correspondent shortly after this week's Federal Executive Council meeting at the Aso Rock Presidential Villa, Abuja. Meanwhile, the Senate has indicted Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited for poor record keeping for crude oil deliveries to Warri Refinery and Petrochemical Company and Kaduna Refinery, and also the Petrochemical Company worth 102.6 billion. The indictment stemmed from the 2016 Auditor General report submitted and presented by Senator Matthew Urogide, which was upheld by the Senate chamber during the plenary session. In the meantime, the Commandant General CG of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, Ahmed Odi, has ordered the deployment of 30,000 personnel from its offices across the country to beef up security across the country ahead of the Easter celebration. Odi gave the order in Abuja while addressing personnel on the need for effective policing at the nation against any outrageous activities of dangerous elements planning to cause breakdown of law and order. On approaching the Easter celebration, the federal government has declared Friday, April 7, 2023, which is Good Friday, and Monday, April 10, 2023, which is Easter Monday, as public holidays to mark this year's celebration. The public holiday was declared by the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, in Abuja in a statement signed by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Shaui Bagore. Aregbesola encouraged Christians to emulate the virtues of sacrifice, togetherness, forgiveness, kindness, love, peace, and patience, which were attributes and practices of Jesus Christ, as exemplified by his ministry on the earth. On the foreign scene, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has visited Poland as his host promised to send more fighter jets to Ukraine. President Andrzej Duda said this would send Poland remaining fleet of migrant 29 jets if there is still such a need. On his part, Zelensky thanked the country for its support against Russia's invasion. It came as Russia's President Vladimir Putin accused Western intelligence services of being involved in terror attacks on Russia. In sports, Newcastle capitalized on poor West Ham defending to hit 5 goals at London Stadium and pile the pressure on Hammers manager David Moyes. Defeats leave West Ham outside of the relegation zone on goal differences. Moyes' side are one of 4 teams on the 27 points alongside Everton, Nottingham Forest, and 18th place down from Bournemouth. We'll have details of these stories and more in our news at 12. I am Mary Joseph. Let's head back to Rise and Shine, where we have Janice and Uyai on standby. Do have a wonderful morning.
Government, Secretary General,
This will be voting for Spectrum TV to remove 40 lapses in cognitive counting.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Every society is premised on the quality of relationships forged by its inhabitants. The health of these relationships determines how well people, relationships, organizations thrive and how long they stick together. Join Uyai and Yekan on Connect every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. and on Sunday 2:30 to 3 p.m. on channel 421 on StarTimes to catch all the conversations, interviews, real stories, and how to navigate relationships and family life in the 21st century. Real people, real faces, real stories. Connect live on Spectrum Television.
Nigerian police, which is the only one.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Rise and Shine, and we're beaming live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. And Rise and Shine, we bring you conversations of, great magnitude happening in Nigeria. And these are some of the things that we have talked about this morning. The fact that the former president of Nigeria, President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, has written to the UK court to temper justice with mercy over the Ikekwe Madu alleged organ trafficking and harvesting case. And also we saw the fact that in Delta State there seemed to have been some unrest and protest as a result of an alleged killing of a youth over 100 naira by a policeman. The Delta State Police Command have said that they have moved into probing that particular situation, as they did confirm that it actually did take place. Of course, Mary Joseph brought us tidbits of global news. At this point, we're moving straight ahead to look at our daily spotlight that is bringing you information from the front pages of our national dailies.
On Spotlight Dailies this morning, we are going to be looking at major stories making the front page of our national dailies. And of course, we also afford Nigerians the opportunity to be part and parcel of this segment and have their opinions made. But let's look at what the papers have for us first and foremost. We are taking our first paper this morning, which is the Nigerian Tribune. And the big story on the Nigerian Tribune says, subsidy removal palliative. Federal government gets $800 million from World Bank. The writer says 50 million Nigerians to benefit. Of course, you can get details of that story on page 2. Naira swap hardship. Buhari leaving on a sour note. That is from Wole Soyinka. You can get that story on page 4. Organ harvesting. Obasanjo writes UK court pleads for Ike Ekweremadu. Kaduna government restates 1,288 sacked primary school teachers. NSIA Vitol signs joint ventures agreement. And the writer says, I'm pleased with prospects of domestic carbon markets. Finance Minister. WHO says 1 in 6 people affected globally by infertility. Inspector killed, DPO injured as Okada riders attack policemen in Lagos. Federal government disburses 320 billion naira intervention fund to varsities and others. We also have court stops Labour Party chairman, 3 others from parading themselves as national officers. And that's all the stories that we have on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune.
The very next one, we're going to take the Daily Sun newspaper. And the very big story there says Soyinka gives damning verdict on last elections. Says polls one of the worst in Nigeria. Agagbo Koba, ex-NBA president, insists presidential candidate must have 25% in Abuja to be declared winner. Okay, we also see here NSIA Vital sign carbon avoidance removal project agreement. I am pleased with prospect of carbon market in Nigeria, says Finance Minister. Okay, we also have here Obasanjo writes UK court seeks leniency for Ekweremadu, page 27. Treason claim FG APC overheating policy Owazirike. We also have here stop giving credence to IPOP. FG tells Western nations alleges group destabilizing Nigeria with funds raised from them. We also have here federal government to build 15 psychiatric outposts in Southeast. Igbo should come home for census to prove our large population, says IPOL. We also see here court stops Julius Abure from parading self as LP chair. Okay, we also have here post-subsidy palliatives. Federal government secures $800 million from World Bank, targets 50 million Nigerians. The last story we have here says 8 students, others kidnapped in Kaduna, page 4. And that's all we have on the front page of the Daily Sun.
Okay. We look at our next paper, which is the Punch newspaper. And it says, the big story here says, new House leadership, opposition reps elect, plots to upstage APC. Rider says, opposition reps elect meet from forms greater majority bloc to tackle APC. Group warns members against APC infiltration, targets key House positions. Be warned, 2015 Saraki Dogara actions won't be allowed, APC tells reps elect. Federal government borrows $800 million for mass transit cash transfer. Fresh promissory notes raising national debts. Ike Ekweremadu, Obasanjo begs UK court for leniency. We also have a story here that says Bitcoin platform with 1.5 million Nigerian users shuts down. Okada rider on the rampage kill cop, injured DPO. Quite a sad story. Lagos Ibadan Expressway ready April 30. Drainage delays or your section. A statement there by the federal government. And that's all the stories that we have this morning on the Punch newspaper.
Okay, our very next paper now will be the Vanguard newspaper. We'll take Vanguard this morning. And Vanguard says, DMO, why government debt is rising as LCCI others list ways out. As DMO explains why public debt is growing, LCCI advocates equity financing, other revenue strategies. Higher level of fiscal discipline needed, says Nasima. Problems over spending, not revenue generation. Andori, we need political will to trim size of government, says CPPE. A lot of issues there. We also have here Boko Haram kills pastor, injures wife, others in Borno. Easter, federal government declares Friday, Monday public holidays, page 13. Varsities, others to get 320.3 billion naira intervention funds. We also have here NSIA VTOL sign agreement for carbon avoidance removal project. Page 27. Second Niger bridge opens to traffic next month, says federal government. Peter Obi describes leaked audio as fake, goes to court. We also see here petroleum subsidy. Federal government secures $800 million World Bank fund for palliatives. Page 27. Those questioning legitimacy of Tinubu's victory, sore losers, says APC. Soyinka flays Dati for threatening judiciary on TV. Page 9. World Bank, Nigeria's economic growth insufficient to reduce extreme poverty. Page 8 is where you can find that particular story. We also have here Obasanjo writes UK court pleads for Ekweremadu and wife, extol Ekweremadu's virtues, hopes he will learn from his travails. Benue currently in ICU, Father Alia, governor-elect. Page 13. Court stops Abure, others from parading as LP extra. We also have here in the sports story on the front page of Vanguard. Hoddle urges Chelsea to sign Osimhen. And that's all that we have on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper.
I think our last paper for this morning will be This Day. This Day newspaper will just take a few stories that have not been shown on some of the other national dailies that we have read this morning. The big story on This Day says fuel subsidy removal. Federal government secures $800 million World Bank facility for palliatives. The rider says to be disbursed to 50 million Nigerians. Discussions on with incoming government on modalities to phase out policy. And then we also have obviously Peter Obi under pressure to leave Nigeria, says Labour Party. Huriwa accuses National Broadcasting Commission of promoting fascism. Okay, so I think that's just some of the stories that we have on the front page of This Day newspaper. And yeah, that's it. All that we have on our papers this morning. Fantastic stories across all national dailies. And okay, we still have The Nation.
Okay, let's take The Nation newspaper. Today the paper seems to be skipping. All right, okay, so The Nation showing car to Tinubu, make power devolution priority. I warned Peter Obi that his supporters would make him lose the election. We also see here Obasanjo writes UK court over Ekweremadu. APC moves to reconcile Adamu Omishore with Lukman. 6 died, 27 million naira recovered from accident scene in Osun. Trump denounces felony charges against him. 50 million Nigerians to share World Bank's $800 million as petrol subsidy palliative. Okada riders kill policeman in Lagos attack. Friday, Monday are holidays. We also have here court suspends LP National Chair and Secretary, others. I am sad to leave Nigeria, says British High Commissioner. Stop harboring IPOB members, federal government tells EU countries. These are all the stories that we have on the front page of the Nation newspaper, and that's all we have for our stories.
Okay, so a fantastic one there. So many concerns on the front pages of our papers this morning, but let's just give Nigerians an opportunity to have their say. Do well to call us and join the conversation. Let us know what you think about some of these issues that have been raised this morning as well. I think one that is of very keen interest right now is the one on the front page of the Punch newspaper, where it says new House leadership, opposition reps elect plot to upstage APC. We know that there's been a lot of mixed a lot of older people, coming from other political parties to the House of Reps and the Senate as well. And if you ask, I think it's a very good, thing to happen in the polity of Nigeria today, where you have a lot of older people coming from different opposition parties to create that balance in the House. So you don't have to see it as an all APC affair, so that when once the president passes a bill, it looks as if, the House of Reps are rubber stamp or the Senate is a rubber stamp institution. So we have that balance, but I know that it's going to be a very, very keen and very strong opposition in the House of Reps this period, especially when you look at the caliber of people that have been elected into those seats. We have new horns in the reps, as well as old or other older people that have maybe had a rerun and were re-elected into the House again. But it's a good thing to see that Nigerians are coming to that place where we have a House of Representative that is, on the ground of, how do I put it now? The opposition is going to be tightly contested, and so you have issues deliberately being discussed, and not a situation where when once issues are discussed, just because we have a majority of the All Progressives Congress, it becomes a yes situation and all of that. So I think it's a good one. It's really a good one.
We're definitely driving into a good day at the National Assembly and Senate at this time because of the rising number of new hands on deck. But then our phone lines are displayed on the screen, so feel free to call us, send us WhatsApp or text messages to make your contributions on the issues that have been discussed and Rise and Shine, or from issues raised on the front pages of our national dailies. I think something that also stands out as a worry is the fact that Nigeria has secured $800 million, adding to the borrowings that we already have standing at 3.17 trillion as of between January and March of 2023. We also have received $800 million from the World Bank to facilitate palliatives upon the removal of subsidy. This will need some experts to expatiate on, but how wise is this move? Why are we getting 800 million naira to give to 50 million Nigerians that may never see the funds because of structural issues in the country? Why do we need to take this money and put it back to as palliative to Nigerians? Why not take that money and revamp our medulla refineries? We just have misplaced priorities in this country. I think part of something. And
another question will be, what are the modalities put in place to even identify the 50 million? What are those things that have been put in place to identify those 15 million?
What are the measures what indices are they going to use to choose this 50 million people to receive the palliative? Okay, so let's just take our first call for this morning. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Mr. James Anida. I'm calling from Anambra State.
Okay, Mr. James, go ahead.
Okay, I want to contribute for the area that said For the
Please,
15 million.
can you turn down the volume of your television? We can hear you and it's re-echoing. Please just turn it down completely. Thank you. Okay.
So why not invest those money for infrastructure like electricity in Nigeria? Like this country, we don't have electricity. Why can't them invest the money in electricity so that we can have a steady light instead of this one to loan people? Because I know that 800 million will be a national kick to them. So that is my own contribution.
Thank you very much, Mr. James. I mean, we share the same sentiment, because at the end of the day, it's just going to be another colossal waste. There's going to be people who want to take their chunk out of that $800 million. Yet we can actually invest it into sectors that are, screaming for help. Like he said, infrastructures that will, make the lives of more than 50 million people better. He's even saying electricity. If we invest it in electricity, we are going to see more productions find way, better productions in Nigeria because of the availability of light. If we are even saying this palliative is coming on the back of subsidy, why not take that $800 million and invest in a medulla refinery, where it is coming from, subsidy related issue with fuel and petrol and all of that. Put it there, let's have a working refinery in the country. It will still make the lives of more than 50 million people better. Not that you now come and look for a system to share $800 million when already people from the hierarchy will cut before it gets to the final man. You'll be hearing that each family got 50,000 naira.
I think the question is sharing 800 million to 50 million Nigerians. What are you sharing the monies for them for exactly?
And how long is it going to take them in the span of time that the subsidy removal is going to last? It doesn't make any sense to even the layman. So you wonder what is happening to policymakers. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from? Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, good morning, ladies and girls.
Good morning. I'm sure this is Tony Eze.
Tony Eze from Benue State.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. See, we in Nigeria, nothing is impossible. And I'm talking about House of Rep coming together, the minority coming together. If the ruling party comes in, they will buy some of their member off. And we have been seeing it happening in legislative house. They are together now. But some of them will prefer money more than good name. And that will be the downfall of them. So we have seen Ghana must go parading in National Assembly. Formally, Ghana must go impeachment, whereby if the president don't want the person as a Senate president, he will gang them up and then give them Ghana must go, and before you know, the Senate president will impeach. And it's not over because we are living in Nigeria, where people prefer money more than good name. And about fuel subsidy, federal government, they knew what to do. Why not give license to people so that they build their own refinery? There is a lot of Nigeria that has money that is ready to build a refinery. It's just like communication. By the time Nigeria is having communication alone, the communication in Nigeria, the telephone was expensive. But by the time they start giving license to private sector and then make it open to people, the communication reach poor people. Because I remember that time, a minister of communication said that telephone is not for poor man. But today, telephone is for a common man in the street. Everybody has phone using. So let them make the petroleum market open to people. If you have money to build refinery, they give you license, you start building. And before you know, this subsidy will go and people will not feel it. But government did not want to give license to people to build refinery, and they don't want to build refinery, and they want to stop fuel subsidy. Is it not wicked on their own side? Thank you and good morning.
Thank you so much, Chinese. They will tell you that the $800 million palliative is a way to cushion the effect of the removal of subsidy, because that is the next headline you're going to begin to hear, that the 800 million has been brought in to cushion the effect for 50 million Nigerians. But like Tony has raised a very salient point.
50 million Nigerians as against
over 200 million, right? So you're catering for how many percent of people in the country when we have 130 million,
Under
living below poverty line. So you want to take care of just 50 million people in that cadre. It's just not wise when we hear some of these things.
I think it's really counterproductive.
Yes, it feels like our policymakers are, they are not in tune with the things happening in the country. They just sit in, rooms full of AC and people dotting on them to make choices for people that are under the sun of Nigeria. It doesn't make sense. And like Tony raised a really, really brilliant suggestion there. Why don't we open up, the space for private sector people to build the refineries, the likes of Dangote?
We've not had the last of his
refinery building yet. So if we say that, okay, Dangote even saw the light of day with regards to that, why don't we open that space up more for collaborations with private sector? Like Tony Eze said, there are Nigerians in this country who have money and do not know what to do with it. Some of them could come together, collaborate, and build us refineries. And together, let's move the country forward. And like he said, if we have more refineries, we will not even feel the fact that subsidy has been removed. When you give 50 million Nigerians a fraction of 800 million US dollars, how long is it going to make them not feel the effect of the subsidy?
Let's not even forget that the idea of subsidizing fuel is because that we produce the oil, we send it out from the country to other countries to help us refine,
and
then
we buy it back.
So when they are saying that we are removing subsidy, are the refineries working, or will we still have to be refining our crude, in another country and then buying it back again? So what is the essence of removing the subsidy if you know that the facilities and modalities to be put in place have not been put in place, the structures to be put in place are not in place? Why are you rushing to remove subsidy? And let's not even forget that there are some people that would argue that there's nothing like a subsidy. Subsidy for them, for some Nigerians, is just a sham. It's just a way that some group of people are using to squeeze the nation and get money from it. Remember also that this particular administration, led by President Muhammadu Buhari, sometime in 2012, were those that were pushing against the administration of former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan not to remove fuel subsidy.
Exactly.
And that was why we had the hashtag Occupy Nigeria and all of that. And today we are talking about subsidy removal. Now, we are not even talking about a partial removal. We are talking about an absolute removal of fuel subsidy in the country. And the funny thing is, this administration is doing it to the wrapping up of the administration and leaving the brunt for the incoming administration. Now, why do they think that a president-elect in the person of Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to be in tune with subsidy removal? So why are we having a lot of policies being done at the last minute of this particular administration? Did we suddenly wake up and discover that, oh, these policies are actually good for the country and it will work? Why didn't you, in your first 4 years, or even the beginning of your second 4 years, begin to initiate some of these policies and see how it's going to work? And if you see that it's working well, fantastic. You can actually leave it for your next administration. But it's funny how we see that the administration have wound up. May 29 is just by the corner, and you're having a lot of policies being made. You're having a lot of bills being signed and all of that. And it really doesn't, I think it doesn't make sense at all at this point in time. But
I think one of the funny things that will also happen, like it happened with the Naira redesign policy, is where you begin to hear explanations of, oh, in the short term, it's going to bite on Nigerians, but long term, the benefits will be enormous for the country. If we, and I hope Nigerians are people who think through these things, and I do hope also that in time to come we can have channels that Nigerians can debate too with some of the policies that are thrown at the citizens. We can't just end everything that is said, because for instance the argument was, oh, let's redesign the Naira. Once we do this, it's going to help the Naira level up, it's going to do this. Oh, we know that the immediate problem that it comes with is biting, but in the long run, right now we do not know where the Naira redesign policy stands. Because we do not even see where the new Naira is in the country. We have not heard the CBN governor say anything after the last court judgment. So all those initial push, oh, you can't use it beyond, everyone has rested.
Yeah, and then you find out that even the new naira is not in circulation
We
anymore.
can't find it
so
anywhere.
Everywhere you go to is the old naira note.
Exactly.
So what was the essence of all the dramas that ensued with the naira redesign policy?
It might be the same energy we'll be seeing with the subsidy removal. So in the immediacy, once the subsidy is removed, you begin to hear, you know, ministers on national television attempt to explain. Oh, analysts are explaining, yes, right now it's biting. In the next couple of months, it will be good. But before you know it, Nigerians will be thrown into, you know, more problems. But we do hope that we can review some of these policies, although they have been, you know, tendered and introduced. Let policy makers, policy interpreters help the people at the helms of affairs to say, okay, this will work, this will not work. Systems of implementation, which is a major problem that we have in the country. If at all we do this, how do we intend to go about it to help Nigerians?
Major questions, I must say. And at this point, we'll just take a very short breather. And when we come back, of course, we'll be coming back with our guest, Citizen Matthew O'Connor. Will be live here on set with us to also marshal out some of these issues. Let's not forget, a lot of crisis in Rivers State as we speak between the All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party as well. These and many more will be our focus conversations when we do return. Do stay with us.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTimes DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Every society is premised on the quality of relationships forged by its inhabitants. The health of these relationships determines how well people, relationships, organizations thrive and how long they stick together. Join Uyai Anyekan on Connect every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. and on Sunday 2:30 to 3 p.m. on channel 421 on StarTimes to catch all the conversations, interviews, real stories and how to navigate relationships and family life in the 21st century. Real people, real faces, real stories. Connect live on Spectrum Television.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution.
With some of the killings he did?
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My Lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord. I'm just reminding your Lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Rise and Shine, and we're beaming live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. Just before we went on that break, we were looking at stories from the front pages of our national dailies. A lot of serious matters of national concern being raised therein. And this morning, we have joining us to have conversations about some of these national issues this morning. Citizen Matthew O'Connor, who himself is the president and founder of Open Forum, an NGO, a national and international NGO here in Nigeria. Good morning, Citizen. Good to have you on the show this morning.
Good morning. Yeah, good to be here. Good morning, Janice.
Good morning. Thank you so much for coming. At this point, I think I would also say that you're a public affairs analyst, because you do it so well as well.
Yeah, that's what I do. I'm also a publisher.
Yes.
And my magazine deals on issues only. I don't carry news.
Nice. Nice. Okay, lots of issues happening around the country, but I think we'd rather start from what's happening in Rivers State. After the gubernatorial election, there seems to be a lot of crisis in Rivers State as we speak. The other day, the gubernatorial candidate under the All Progressives Congress, talking about Tony Cole, was harassed and all of that. And there's been a lot of, the dust hasn't settled yet. There's been a lot of very tense situation in Rivers State. Maybe we'll just leave it to you, to put us in perspective. What exactly is happening in Rivers State? There was also the issue of the PDP and the All Progressives Congress going to INEC office to, look at election materials and all of that.
Well, what is happening in Rivers State is quite unfortunate. It is absolutely unnecessary. Because I've never heard, and it has never happened, where two parties are given approval to inspect INEC documents for purpose of, after getting court injunction, court order to access such documents. So why on earth will INEC approve same date, same time for two parties, contending parties, opposing parties, to go and access documents for their cases? It's I think it's intentional. I always maintain that whatever we see happening, no matter how crude, no matter how unbelievable, is intentional. They have their reason, and if anything happens, they should be held responsible for allowing such an irresponsible arrangement. That is what it is by every means. I led the team. You may not know this. I'm the pioneer. I happen to have been the pioneer DTH chairman of Action Congress, that metamorphosed to Action Congress of Nigeria, and then now APC.
Wow.
And by virtue of my position and the kind of grace God has given to me, I led the team to inspect documents when the Action Congress gubernatorial candidate in Akwa Ibom State in 2007 elections, Mr. James Inema, went to the tribunal. I led the team to INEC, and I have clear experiences of what transpires. But just to give you as a guide, because it will help you understand what is really going on. The tribunal gave us 3 days to access documents. We went there the first day, and INEC wasn't cooperating. There were no seats, there were nothing. They just told us, look at the documents there. I said, please, can we get some seats? We're going to sit down to do this. They said, we don't have seats here. So I just entered the corridor, entered here, brought some seats. I brought out the carton from the vehicle that contained calculator, had pen in their numbers, and I went there with the designated number of persons. And they said, what do you want to do? I said, we're going to take down notes. So we make requests for the copies that we need so that we can get certified through copies. Said, you don't take down notes. So how do we go to the court with what we are going to have? He said, just look at it, then go and tell the court. Something happened. Some persons who were not members of the AC came in. And from all looks of things, they weren't looking friendly. They were not unruly, kind of to say, oh, there was fracas. And we felt unsafe. We left, went back to the court, got another court order, that they should allow us to take down notes because we are going to have certified true copies. I'm going somewhere. In 3 days, we did only 3 local government areas because it was deliberate ploy of the person in the strong room is not there to give you the next batch of local government. We went back to court, got the next order that we should be given unfettered access, and we did 27 local government areas in 3 days. There was no attack, apart from a scene that was created there, which could not even allow us to finish the 31 local government areas, but we had more than enough. So what am I trying to say? Is it under such a condition that INEC anywhere in the world could tell opposing parties, people that have interest to protect, to come and sit together, come at the same time, same day? No. What should have just happened is, okay, APC has applied, they are given this day to this day, because we give a specific number of days. No matter if it's 100 million documents we're going to access, you do it in 3 days. And guess what? When we took it to the court gave the other party 1 week to look at documents that took me 3 days to lead the team to bring out. But they gave them 1 week in the court. So, INEC should be faulted. I don't blame the parties. Secondly, during that time, 2007, there were no security barricades in INEC. It was free. There were no ideas that people could come and take the place by storm and all of that. But what happens now? INEC environments are completely condoned of. So what will give hooligans or thugs or terrorists or whatever you may call them access to INEC?
Now let's see this, because it said that there was a protest, and this protest was led by the People's Democratic Party. I was trying to get the names of those that led the protest. Of course, the Deputy Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Edison Ihe, and Samuel Nwanosike, the chairman of Ikwere local government area. Now, these are the people that led the protest to INEC to demand that, while we are also, of course, APC under Tony Cole is actually petitioning, the result of the gubernatorial elections. So while we are petitioning, while that is going on, let INEC, it was a protest that was led by these people under the People's Democratic Party. Let INEC give a particular day where these two parties will come and inspect election materials. For them, it is so that nobody is trying to manipulate whatever is happening or whatever it is that the election materials have.
I thought they also went to court to get a court order to inspect the documents. Outside of that, they have no business being there. Absolutely no business. Anybody that goes to INEC and talks like the way you've just said, if that's actually what happened, has gone there to ferment trouble. And the security agency should be on top of the situation. Everything done with INEC has got to have a court approval. It's not a matter of suggestion. It's not what you sit down in a beer parlor or somewhere to feel that you are a thinker. You've come up with a wonderful idea. Oh, let's run with it. There are ideas you don't bring to the public. Otherwise, you'll be seen as a hoodlum, irrespective of whatever level of office that you hold. A number of thoughts that are flying about here and there, the quality shows you that the people don't even have business being where some decisions should be taken. Nobody goes to INEC and say, oh, somebody is coming to inspect document. Let me sit with him so that I will not do. INEC supervises whatever happens. Any document that will be gotten from INEC will be certified by INEC. It's a certified true copy, and you pay for it. In 2007, we paid for every document that we got. And guess what? This very election is just more than documents, because the beavers, there's nothing you can do about the beavers, because the beavers contains the accredited voters and then the uploaded result at the unit. Who's going to manipulate that?
Let's even tilt a little bit to something different. Now, is it not surprising that APC won in Rivers State, and then we have the gubernatorial elections, and we are having the PDP say they won the guber elections? Is it not surprising to see that. No. Where are the people that voted for the All Progressives Congress during the presidential elections?
No, it's impossible in this very era of Nigeria to ask such questions or to even say, oh, this person said he won. Meanwhile, how many states did he win to claim that he was popular? People, including people in the ruling party, have had cases where even appointees of government, even here in this state, voted for opposing parties. And because those are in authority, they know the reality, they had to checkmate some of those things. You understand? So people were not really voting for parties. They were voting for interests. They were voting for individuals. It's not only Rivers State. There are other states. And Rivers State is a clear example because the governor himself, you saw how the election, the presidential went. We saw the kind of thing that were live. And some persons will even take responsibility. They will not say they didn't do what they did. So to say that, oh, how could the APC have won presidential and fail in gubernatorial? No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't. Even at the national level.
Okay.
Nigeria has taken a new dimension completely when it comes to voting because it was and is still the time for us to reset the country and reset some states. The mentality that party is supreme is a very queer, very crude mentality that only allows impunity to thrive. There are people that have been rubbished by their parties. And if you say, oh, party is supreme because without party, you don't exist. Some people should be in what we call Yaba left. It's unthinkable. It's unthinkable. If you want progress, you can't think like that. And looking at where Nigeria is, where some states are, the way we are, anybody that re-echoes that as a mantra, just know that that's one of the problems of that very community or state or country.
So when we are still looking at Rivers State, before we just slide away from that particular conversation, it's from some quarters there are allegations that INEC in Rivers State is colluding with the APC to attempt to scuttle the process of investigating
with APC or PDP?
With APC at this time, to said, yeah, the APC is liaising with INEC to concoct results to subvert the win. Of course, it's PDP that won the Guba elections in Rivers State. So some people are of the opinion that, INEC is attempting to work with APC, to cause some problems around the investigation of, the machines and materials, so to speak. Now, what I want to lean on is connivance of INEC, in all of these processes. I know that since February 25th, there's been a lot of questions hanging on INEC's neck that they are yet to answer. But to what degree are we seeing that the system of the electoral empire has been corrupted? Because it doesn't seem to anybody in this country that that institution is independent of influences by certain persons in this country.
What is even the basis of saying that INEC is colluding with the APC? What's the basis? Have they assessed the documents, or what they have assessed, are they fake? If they have assessed, unfortunately, the kind of report we should be getting on this process of going to the tribunal at the level of states and going to the appeal court. Appeal court is a tribunal for the presidential election. We should be having very deep reports, not analyzing the case at the possible outcome, but actually what is going on state by state. I have not read anywhere that INEC has falsified documents to give to APC in Rivers State.
Of course, this allegations is both ways. APC is saying it of PDP in Rivers. PDP is saying it of APC in Rivers State at the same time.
No, whatever anybody says is not important. What's important is let the party that has gotten the court order assess the document. INEC is going to certify documents and make INEC for what it is now, not even the INEC we used to know before. INEC is nominal party in electoral matters. But now, because of the kind of role they have taken onto themselves, they are going to do much more than just going to court to hear the 2 or 3 contending parties bring forward their case. They are going to struggle to save themselves. But as we speak, what is the evidence that INEC is colluding with any party at all? What is the evidence? You cannot rely on people talking because they have opportunity to say something. So then they say things without even thinking. Or assuming that people are gullible because you have the mic or because you have the office and you just go about talking. We are too civilized for that. I told you my experience as somebody that led a team from the tribunal. We went to the appeal court, and during 2007, appeal court was the highest court for adjudication for governorship matters. And the experience I got lives with me till I die. Very terrible experiences, because if you go to details of what you see and what actually happens, some of us have come this far because of the grace of God. It will have been
let's before we even continue, let's see exactly what is happening in Rivers State now. It's quite pathetic to see that protesters have taken to the streets with even very fetish materials and are protesting at the entrance of the INEC office, still because they want a joint review of some of these election sensitive materials. Let's take a listen to this.
Yes, now I have my hair about you. I put it, I must say, you know, I don't hold on up. It's never Jordana by Hershey. I won't be without I won't be still on my water. I won't come by no supply. I must say, what do I? But I'm going to use that. But I don't know what to do. You can't even know anything. One of the bush area. And I want. And I'm very sure I do. But I'm not going to the right thing. I'm just really free. I want to put on the job.
Now, the protest started on Monday and has spiraled into what we have just seen. And at this point, we'll begin to ask, what is the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, doing about this? This is his party, the PDP, and why is he quiet about the situation and all of the protests that is happening in Rivers State? Quite so sad that we see that in politics today in Nigeria, we can begin to have these kinds of issues.
It's funny to see where the polity has even landed. Where did we get to where we are seeing in broad daylight a fight of, you know,
political parties
with traditional, what do we call it?
Injunctions?
Yes, traditional injunctions. How did we get to this particular point at this time?
I have always complained that over time we will be asking, how did we get here? Meanwhile, we know how we got here. And for the first time in history, I told you, I grew up in Lagos, and when we were informed that Oro will come out, it will be warned. Nobody, don't even peep from the window, because if you behold Oro will take you. So as a child, till I became an adult, I never ever tried to peep from the window when Oro is out at night. But do you know what happened in the elections?
Of course.
On voting day, Oro came out, broad daylight, rituals I've never beheld. Rivers State is just following from Lagos State. And you may never tell the next state. God forbid that maybe it comes to Akwa Ibom and Ekpekpokut comes out and Ekpekpokut is played. You don't know what Ekpekpokut is? No. They are traditional things that are beyond normal. And because impunity has reached its peak, Some people have become emperors. Some people have become principalities and powers. And the actual principalities and powers have refused to speak out. And so there seems to be no leadership. So whatever you can bring to show that this was your contribution, I bet you, some of the people you are seeing there with these ritual things, some of them may not even have voted. Some of them may never have anything to contribute to helping the government. But they will hold what they have done to have been the greatest contribution, that without them, you wouldn't have sat here. And you must do something.
And they will demand appointments
and
contracts and everything.
They will get it. And some of them will be very sensitive offices. They will never fit in. They will never be able to deliver.
Square pegs in round holes.
We have them too many. So I am principally a productivity advocate. Before being president and founder of Open Forum, I am a productivity advocate. Because I believe that wherever anybody is, you should bloom where you are planted. Some of us are operating under very terrible conditions, but we are producing results that people with budgets can never come out to do that. So these people you are seeing is their greatest contribution, because some of them, they are going to have their way. Now, it's very sad. Lagos started it with bringing Oro on election day, so that people, they know what Oro is. They don't dare come out. It's a fetish thing. And this is a very powerful. So what do? Like our people will say, Satan came the devil in the guise of humans are here. Anyone hold your child by the ears. People stayed back from voting. And those that knew what they were going to do with Oro, they got or felt they got their way. And look at Rivers State.
Politics of impunity now. Yes. Let's even look at that. Politics of impunity. This is not the first time we've been seeing this kinds of impunity, in our country. But will we go beyond these kinds of things in some time? We are looking at a situation where they are saying that some group of persons are trying to threaten the democratic process of the country, and yet we have other people that are coming out with so much impunity. Is that not also threatening the existence of democracy?
Yes, the impact actually seems to be on some people,
yes.
But this impunity is happening in several places all at the same time.
Yes.
Unabated.
Yes.
The reality is that people, very unscrupulous persons, who have found their way to public office, and they have become principalities that we have said. They believe that anything they say should be taken hook, line, and sinker. The real problem of the country, like I've said before, is no longer fake news. It is fake promises. It is actions that have been taken by people who are supposed to be the replica of our integrity. People who we are supposed to hold up as our role models. They are the ones, the actions they are taking, because he said action speaks louder than words. You see people that are doing very terrible actions, going to quote people that are just making statements. Some of these statements may even be fake, contrived by them. Why? Because they can't imagine themselves out of the corridors of power. For people like us, we believe that there is a very low-hanging fruit. These persons cannot survive where things are done properly. So it is for citizens to step up their games and demand accountability and productivity. These people are not productive. These people can never be accountable. They don't believe in rule of law. So even if we give them a guideline to go by, they will circumvent it and turn around to hold you who is complaining as a victim. Narcissist. And I've always said that wherever you find a narcissist, don't feed them what they want. What do they want? Submission. Loyalty. They turn you to be the victim. Meanwhile, you are the victim. They turn themselves to be the victim. Victims, yeah. You become the oppressor. Wherever an enlightened citizen find such people, no matter the level they operate. I am dealing with some of them as I speak with you. No matter the level you operate, you won't have your way.
Okay, I think something, just to land this particular conversation, because we need to move on to the next thing. What Janice was trying to raise it initially, what is the part that Nyesom Wike has played in this? Because during the February 25th election presidential, he brought the APC energy into the state.
Exactly.
And then still maintained the PDP energy for the Guba election. It's conflicting. You are the person at the helm of affairs in the state, and you're serving two parties at the same time. Don't you expect that these kinds of clashes were going to come out? It would have been different if the APC won the elections in the state, but it is the People's Democratic Party which is still presided over by Nyesom Wike.
Nyesom Wike is a case study. There are people that have the kind of grace or the kind of nature which, if you do not understand them, you'll be in perpetual confusion. Nyesom Wike is not just now that he developed that attitude. Maybe he was a bit very humble when he was chief of staff. You know, he was chief of staff to Amechi.
Yes.
Yes. And from there, he became Minister of State and minister, and then how he even became the governor. It showed a level of force, how he was able to go through the second term with the federal might that was brought to Rivers State. So when you deal with such people, you must know people's antecedents. Going forward, Wike had believed that nothing would stop him from being the candidate of the PDP. And for some of us who just felt that since PDP had chosen impunity, you've taken the national chairman, which was zoned to the north, and you now turn around to take the presidential candidate, which was supposed to come to the south, and Wike led the G5, which by all standards, people felt there's no way they can sustain this fight till the end. He did. Going to the elections, he was palling with Obi. Obi first went to Rivers State, and the way he talked with Obi, people just felt, oh, he was going to support Obi. He had condemned the Muslim ticket that is as terrible as North retaining power after President Buhari in PDP. And guess what? Most people never foresaw a third force coming in the obedient movement, which is not a party. After all, most people don't know who the chairman of the Labour Party is, national chairman. Most people don't even know him. They don't even care to know. It's a movement, it's a spirit. And Obi was saying, Wike said, Obi, when you come to Rivers State for campaign, I'm going to give you vehicles, I'm going to give you support, and he did that. The next moment, it was Asiwaju that went.
So, but then with regards to this particular...
In regards to this, is that because he says it's about interest. Whatever interest he's been able to align to narrow down on Tinubu, which he has said openly. And we saw the kind of election that went on in Rivers.
Exactly.
And we are going to see from Beavers. Definitely Beavers will speak eventually. If the number of votes that came out aligns with what was in Beavers and sent to IREV.
So that's the only hope that they have.
We hope that they have, but going forward, it was a must, a do or die affair for him to win for the governorship. However, he won, made Tinubu to win with the kind of complaints that we saw. He had to do it for himself. But he's just the only person.
Point to the People's Democratic Party, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar.
Of his weight?
Yeah, of his weight.
No, come again.
I say he was trying to prove a point to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar of his weight that he cannot win. PDP cannot win in Rivers State.
PDP couldn't campaign. There was no presidential campaign of PDP in Rivers State.
But
it was that bad.
Quickly now, because of
time. But beyond him proving to Atiku Abubakar, it was a do or die thing for him. But it doesn't end in that, results have been announced.
Okay.
This thing has got to go to the court, and the process must not be truncated. At the rate we are seeing these fetish things go on, at the rate we are seeing Tony Cole, a very senior respected person, according to him, being beaten up. We've heard that somebody has died, people have been wounded. In the course of going to inspect documents, the security agencies are not living up to expectation, because Rivers State, they must not allow law and order to fail there.
All right, so let's just move on very quickly. There is a new rave, as the elections have been completed, and opposition, questions are being reasoned, in terms of the House of Reps. who is going to go, whose turn it is, and then we are seeing the fact that opposition reps elect meet and they are pushing for greater majority to take out the APC. They're saying we do not want a house, full of APC as, majority leaders and all of that. What are your thoughts with regards to the race for seats in the House of Reps as of now?
Politics of who gets what have different levels. Elections at a particular level, we can say, okay, we have direction, depending on what the courts will do. I think it's the first time, I need to look at the data, it's likely the first time that a party that has been said to have won at the national is not having the majority that will make them say it's a walk in the park to get the principal
again,
officers.
Let's correct this.
Yeah.
I think they have majority, but the point is the opposition parties are coming together to build a formidable team to counter what the APC
so
was
what
about.
I mean is that when you put up all the opposition parties together,
yes,
does the APC have more senators? Do they have more reps members? That's what I've not confirmed yet. But if all opposition parties, when they come together, they have more members, they can determine who becomes the Senate president or the chairman, the speaker of the House of Reps, and even at committee levels, who gets what? Because these people, they know they have what is called juicy committees and all of that, which is still part of the Nigerian factor, where people will feel that they have so much money to make when they are in one committee and the other. But the bottom line is really that I think we are in a very peculiar time. Remember, was it 2019 or before 2019 when Saraki was to emerge?
Yeah.
The APC that was ruling party, they were quite comfortable that they were going to have their way, whosoever they want, and they called a meeting where they shouldn't have called for a meeting. And Saraki, typical of very smart politicians, had made his way to the National Assembly, sneaked into the chambers, and they sat. With the help of the opposition parties, Saraki got that position as against what the party really wanted. So you don't joke with opposition parties, particularly now that it's likely they may likely have, maybe in the House of Reps at whatever level, they may likely have more members
in the opposition.
In the opposition. Bearing those who are going to stretch out and see what to negotiate, because money has come to play so much role, like vote buying that we hear in the normal voting. At that level, they buy people. After all, we
we just hope that the opposition will actually form that formidable
and
team.
it's going to be strong enough.
And there's going to be a balance in the House of Reps and House of Senate, and people will not sit down and wait to be bought by money. You remember that Tony Eze from Benue State actually raised that point as well, and it's quite a valid point at this moment. But we want to say a very big thank you to you, Citizen Matthew Kofi O'Connor, CEO and founder Open Forum International. Thank you so much for always being there, to discuss some of these key national issues with us on set.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Okay, so this is where we get to draw the curtains on the show today. It's been a fantastic one, and I hope that we gave you value for your time. We'll definitely be back here again tomorrow from 7 to 9 a.m. But then, my name is Janice Cobham, and we'll leave you with Sports Central, Blyden Ukem, and Isaac.
Thank you for being a part of the show. My name is Uyai Anyek, and let's do this again tomorrow.
Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTimes DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Every society is premised on the quality of relationships forged by its inhabitants. The health of these relationships determines how well people, relationships, organizations thrive and how long they stick together. Join Uyai Anyekan on Connect every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. and on Sunday 2:30 to 3 p.m. on Channel 421 on StarTimes to catch all the conversations, interviews, real stories, and how to navigate relationships and family life in the 21st century. Real people, real faces, real stories. Connect live on Spectrum Television.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination.